Hello everyone, good afternoon. Sage here, live from the 𝐊𝐴𝐚 studios, and you are watching the Mid-Market Pulse Show. Let us zoom our lens on the Australian share market performance. Well, the Australian shares traded higher on Monday, rebounding from the Friday sell-off, led by gains in iron ore miners, banks and the energy stocks. And the market sentiments were lifted post the People's Bank of China slashed the reserve requirement ratio, or RRR, for all banks by 50 basis points, the amount of cash most banks must hold in reserve in order to boost lending. And the firm cues from Wall Street and an uptick in the oil prices also boosted the investors' appetite for the riskier assets. And meanwhile, the S&P ASX 200 was up by 54.30 points, or 0.75%, at 7,327 by the afternoon. The index opened on a positive note and gained as much as 1.1% to hit a high of 7,353 during the day's trade so far. Investors seem to have shifted focus to the upcoming quarterly results by the US companies and forecasts about the recovery in the second half of 2021, as some worry that the recent economic surge is already waning. On the flip side, concerns about the COVID-19 situation in the country limited markets' gains. And in a fresh development, the country's most populous state of New South Wales has reported 112 locally acquired COVID-19 cases in the past 24 hours, and this is the highest daily number of new infections reported in the state so far. And moving on now to the sectoral space. 7 of 11 indexes were trading in the green by the lunchtime, and the materials sector was the best performer with 2.25% gains, followed by AREIT, which rose nearly 1%. Among others, energy, financials and healthcare stocks were trading higher with modest gains. And on the flip side, information technology sector was the top laggard, undermining firm cues from the US counterpart, Nasdaq. And some of the other worst performing sectors included consumer staples and industrials. And on that note, let's turn our attention to the biggest gainers and losers that gained investors' attentions by the mid-market session. Civil and mining contractor NRW Holdings Limited was the top percentage gainer on the ASX pack, rising 7.5% on a plan to sell its major mining equipment to Boggabri coal operations. Some of the other notable gainers were the energy firm Viva Energy, miner BlueScope Steel, iron ore giant BHP Group and minerals exploration company Orocobre. On the flip side, the tech firm NextDC was the top loser on the ASX, falling 1.8%. And some of the other notable losers included gaming and entertainment firm Crown Resorts, healthcare firm Cochlear, fintech major IRES and tech company Megaport. And moving on, it's time to jump on to the prominent ASX listed stocks that are generating a buzz. In a major development, shares of Chalice Mining surged as much as 3% on announcing its intentions to pursue the demerger of the Australian gold assets. The stock soon paired gains and declined over 1% to $7.26 Australian. The gold miner has unveiled a plan to split its Australian gold assets to create a separate standalone, well-funded Australian gold exploration company with a high-quality asset base in Victoria and Western Australia. The company believes that the demerger of gold-focused entity would be an optimal structure to maximise value for its shareholders. The exploration and production company is an exchange filing, said it has decided to pursue a demerger and initial public offering of Pyramid Hill and its other gold projects in the fourth quarter of 2021, and this would be subject to finalisation of the transaction structure and nod from the shareholders and regulators. Meanwhile, the country's leading healthcare company, Healius, announced acquisition of Axis Diagnostics. And Axis is a high-quality Queensland-based imaging business with earnings of approximately 2 million Australian dollars. The firm has 3 radiology practices located in Brisbane and 1 practice in the Whitsundays. Following the announcement, shares of Healius rose 0.4% to reach $4.65 Australian. Next up, shares of Wesfarmers rose 0.25% to reach $58.15 Australian on a bid to acquire 100% stake of Australian Pharmaceutical Industries Limited. And WES has offered to acquire API shares at $1.38 Australian cash per share. The proposal price represents a 21% premium to API's last traded price on Friday. And the proposal is subject to the satisfaction of limited conditions, including due diligence and obtaining clearance from the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission. Moving on now to the next newsmaker. Shares of mining services company NRW Holdings rose 7.5% after the company announced that it would sell its major mining equipment to Boggabri Coal Operations, or BCO. Boggabri Coal is a part of Idemitsu Group and can exercise options to acquire a majority of mining equipment of Golding Contractors, its wholly owned subsidiary. Golding is engaged in the maintenance of the Boggabri coal mine. And now it's time for a short break, but please stay tuned as I'll be back with more trending updates for the Australian share market.
Hi, this is Andy Liu broadcasting from 𝐊𝐚𝐥𝐤𝐢𝐧𝐞 Media Studio in Australia, and I'll be hosting the new 𝐊𝐚𝐥𝐤𝐢𝐽 Wellness Show. The half-hour show will cover topics from how wellness as a concept has become even more significant during COVID, to how becoming vegan may improve your health, and much more. We are excited to showcase our live streaming show to our audience of millions overseas and in Australia. Tune in to 𝐊𝐴N TV and join me.
Welcome back. Sage here, your host, live from the 𝐊𝐴N studios in Sydney, and you're watching the show, The Mid-Market Trade. Moving to the next player under the spotlight, the share price of software firm Objective Corporation gained 0.3% to reach $17.45 Australian. After the company reported strong earnings in the financial year 2021. The company saw its revenue growing by 36%, while the annual recurring revenue surged 31% as compared to the last fiscal. Next up, making the news today, shares of 𝐊𝐴 surged over 2.5%, reaching 20 cents after the company announced the launch of its first therapeutic goods administration-approved product. And the company has registered the first sales of its new scientifically formulated turmeric capsules. The TheraJoint Plus, Australian plant-based food nutraceutical and skincare company 𝐊𝐴 owns the rapidly growing hemp consumer brand 13 Seeds and 8 Seeds, with 100% Tasmanian hemp as its hero ingredient. And on the flip side, Sayona Mining dropped 13.4%, down to 8.4 cents after discounted equity raise on Monday. And the lithium producer has raised 45 million Australian dollars via a share placement and has plans to raise another 5 million Australian dollars in a retail offering. The company intends to use the proceeds to fund purchases of North American lithium with top shareholder Piedmont Lithium Inc. and in moving ahead with the Abitibi Lithium Hub in Quebec, Canada. Last but not least in the stocks movers list, Australian biotech firm Medlab Clinical shares rose over 3% to 16 cents after the Australian Ethics grants approval for the Nanobis cancer bone pain phase 3 trial. Nanobis is Medlab's most advanced non-opioid pain medication, utilising Medlab's patented delivery platform, NanoCell. To date, under significant clinical and non-clinical longitudinal investigation, Medlab is currently tracking more than 900 Australian patients ethically and lawfully using Nanobis for treating cancer and non-cancer pain and associated conditions. And moving on, in the final leg of our show, let us focus on the global equity market performance. The Asian markets were trading higher in an opening trade on Monday, tracking the positive cues from Wall Street. And Japan's Nikkei was the best performer in the region, surging over 2%. Taiwan's capitalisation-weighted stock index gained 1.25%, while Thailand's SET composite surged 0.5%. In a similar trend, Seoul's Kospi gained 0.8%, while Hong Kong's Hang Seng rose 0.6%, and Singapore's Straits Times was up 0.25%. China's Shanghai Composite rallied 0.8%. After the People's Bank of China on Friday slashed the reserve requirement ratio, or RRR, for all banks by 50 basis points to boost economic growth. On Friday, all the three major US stock indexes ended higher as financials and other economically focused sectors rebounded from a sell-off sparked by the growth worries earlier in the week. The S&P 500 rose 1.13%, the Dow Jones gained 1.30%, and the Nasdaq Composite added 0.98%. Thanks for joining us on that report. That's all for now. Sage signing off, but please stay tuned. We'll be bringing you more of the live updates on the economies, markets and sectors.